All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations be unto the Akim out here pushing this gospel and truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is the brother Quanawath come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. Hey, man, we definitely in those times, man, right? Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai is turning things up drastically, right? And, as the elders, right, the elder apostles, the elders, different brothers, have been saying, right, especially the last few days, it's more clear now, right? Prophecy is unfolding. Yahweh Bashim El Shai is definitely about to, close the curtains on this place, man, and we understand that as, as this place comes to a close, right, things are going to continue to get more and more hectic, right? Chaos is going to, ultimately unfold, and in the midst of the chaos, right, it's going to be what? Crime, it's gonna increase, man, and I want to touch on this article, man, because this right here is a heavy. This is something that you're going to see more and more, as the days go on, as, iniquity continues, to increase, right, within the world, right? You're going to see more and more of these type of situations. Matter of fact, let me grab that. Matthew 24 and verse 12, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And when you go into that word cold, right, in the blue letter, right, it goes back to the Greek word psycho, right, which when you look up that word psycho, it goes into an extremely aggressive and unstable person, and again, this is what we're seeing, right? It's on the endtimeheadlines.org. It says masked suspect wanted for terrorizing Center City, Philadelphia residents, right? And this is ultimately, the picture of that person right there you see on the right hand, right? It says police in Philadelphia are hunting a masked man accused of stalking and threatening women in the heart of City Center, including a chilling early morning chase that left a jogger fleeing in fear near City Hall. According to a report from 6 ABC Philadelphia, investigators released video of the suspect pursuing a woman who was out running last Wednesday around 5:30 a.m. And in the time of you women doing shit like that, right? Going out early, going out late, hey, that shit's about to come to an end, right? As iniquity continues to increase and crime increases, hey, you women are going to be a heavy target. Y'all are vulnerable targets. It says Philadelphia Police Captain Jason Smith described the confrontation captured on video. He was holding his cell phone in front of her, at which point he asked her, "Are you ready to die?" Smith said, right? It says the startled woman tried to escape as the man continued after her. The female is screaming for help this entire time. Smith added, the suspect then abruptly stopped, headed northbound on 15th Street, and boarded the escalators at the suburban station. Ultimately fled. Which that could have been she could have been killed, right? She could have been killed by that man, right? Had that man, not stopped and went somewhere else, should have been done. There's nothing that she can do about it, Scriptures talk about the woman being what? The weaker vessel, right? Let's grab it, right? 1 Peter 3 and 7 says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. Talking about the wives, right? It says, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be prayers be not hindered. Right. So you women are just biologically, right, weaker than men. It doesn't matter you women going and working out. It doesn't matter if you're a professional boxer, professional weightlifter, right? You women are inherently weaker than men. It doesn't matter what you do, right? A man is easily 5 to 10 times stronger than any woman, you know. So that woman, right, very well could have, he could have grabbed that woman, and killed that woman, man. He could have had his way with that woman, and I'm talking about grape, minus the G, right? Which again, we're going to see a lot more. And I think it was a few years ago, right? That man ultimately raped that woman on, the subway station in broad daylight. And that was over, in the New York, Philadelphia area, man. New York, Pennsylvania area. It says minutes earlier, another woman named Jamaica, who asked that her last name not be used, spotted the same masked figure approaching the runner near a La Colombe coffee shop, right? Jamaica. That sounds like a so-called black woman, It says the jogger was wearing headphones and initially unaware of the danger. Jamaica waved from across the intersection and called out a warning. I started to wave at her from across the intersection and say, "Hey, there's somebody behind you. Look behind you." And she heard me, and then she started to run away, she recalled. The man tried to force his way into the coffee shop before turning toward Jamaica herself. She decided to confront the situation head on. I figured if anything was going to happen, I wanted to see it with my own 2 eyes, she said. When he came at her, she turned, screamed, and kicked him in the chest. Jamaica noted that the suspect appeared confused and lacked a clear purpose. He showed no interest in her bags and seemed unsure of what he intended to do inside the coffee shop. I was like, and this is her saying, right? Says, I was like, okay, well, let's see if you can fight. And he couldn't, she said. And that right there, man, that's a, she kicked him in the chest and he just kind of, backed off. That doesn't mean that he couldn't fight, right? It just means he wasn't, willing to, go through that, But we're coming into a time where you trying to kick that man kick a man in his chest, and he might just grab your foot, pull you forward, you slip, fall, and now he's on top of you. Where men are desperate, right? Because there's still 911, right? 911 can still be called, right? Even though we have, again, these these cyber attacks on, these what do they call them? Emergency services, right? Like 911, ambulance, fire truck, so on and so forth. There's an attack on, 911, right? Cyber attack on 911. But we're at the time where you can still call 911, right? Even in Oregon, right? Over in Oregon, right? There's a shortage of police officers. You can still call 911 and they'll get there. It just might take longer, right? But again, 911 is still available. Well, there's going to be a time where 911 is not going to be available at all. It's going to be every man for himself. 2 Ezra 15 chapter, right? Verses 16 on down. We're coming into those times, right? So what are you women going to do, right? It says inside the same coffee shop, employee Kate Egan reported that the suspect also terrorized one of her coworkers before a security guard stepped in. All of the women involved managed to escape without physical injury. It's pretty disturbing, Egan said. She and others remain on edge. It's really unsettling just trying to get to work and have a kid like this actively terrorizing women, Egan said. I really hope he is caught. And see, you women, right, when all hell breaks loose, you're not going to have any security guard, right? Because really that security guard was a man. Even that man might turn on you women, man. That man, might be in straits himself and might not even, he might not even want to try to protect you, right? Or the man that comes in there, it might be bigger than this guy that, that you see right here. It might be bigger. The next guy might be bigger. And that security guard comes up and then what? The dude pulls out a gun and drops him. And again, this is all speculation, but these are the things that are going to take place. And again, who is going to be at the forefront of, you women, right? Just as we see here, a lot of you women are going to be in straits. And this is why, through spirit and power, Yahweh Bashem Yahshua, we tell y'all, hey, you need to get with the men of the Lord before it's too late. All hell is going to break loose. Right? Starting with the elder apostles, a great millstone on down. We've been telling y'all that these prophecies were going to happen, and now they're happening. Now it's made more clear the times that we're in. Right? These warnings are going to stop soon. Right? You women need to take heed. Right? To what's being told to you. Right? Because as it says right here, right, Isaiah 32 and verse 2, it says what? It says, and a man, right? A man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place and as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And that's what that security guard was for those women, right? For her and her co-workers, right? That protection, right? But again, that man, right? That security guard, unless that man is a man of the Lord, right? When all hell breaks loose, he's going to be in straits as well, right? You read that in Jeremiah the 30th chapter, right? Jeremiah 30, and we'll start at verse 5, right? This is the time that's coming. It says, for thus saith Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. This is talking about men, right? Regular men are going to be in fucking straits. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Now he's talking about the elect of the nation of Israel. Starting with the men, right? Starting with the men. Why? Because they're going to be applying the scriptures. Isaiah 33 and 6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of their times and the strength of salvation. So they're going to be moving, right? And applying the scriptures in the times that come. And what does it say? Sirach, the 2nd chapter. Make not haste in the time of trouble. So they're not going to be worried, right? The elect men, right? We're not going to be worried. Right? Lord will, I myself, as well as my family, my brothers and their families, right, can all be a part of the elect, Hey, but Lord will, hey, when that time hits, we're not gonna be tripping. Right? Because we understand that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, right, told us these things were coming. And spiritually, right, we're being prepared for that to come. And when those times hit, we're going to do what? We're going to trust in Yahweh Bashem Shai. And the Lord's going to take care of us. Right? Lord will be of the elect. So we're going to be good. We're going to be good. And that's that. And at that time, that whole, every man, is, one woman type shit. No, that shit's going out the window. That monogamy bullshit, that shit's going out the window. Right? You women are going to be in such a bad case. You going to see a man, he probably got 4 or 5 women with him. And you still going to go up to that man. Right? As it says in Isaiah 4. Isaiah 4 and 1. It says, and in that day, 7 women, right? 7 is a number of completion, right? 7 could be 15, 20, it could be 3, right? It says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, right? Saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So it's going to be so bad, right, that you women are going to run to these men. And what men? The men of the Lord, right? Isaiah, what is it? Isaiah 13 and 12. It says what? And it says, and I will make a man, who? Not just a regular man. We just read it in Jeremiah the 30th chapter. That men are going to be in straits. Right? So it's not going to be them. It's going to be who? It's going to be a man of the Lord. Right? It says, and I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. That's who you women are going to be clinging to. And that's who's going to be your protection. All right? We just read in Isaiah the 32nd chapter. That security guard in that account, right? That article was that protection for them. Right? And there was multiple women in that shop. Right? One man. They relied on that one man. It will, guess what? In a righteous sense, right? A man of the Lord, right? You women are going to run to that man. Why? Because you're going to see that man is going to be cool, calm, and collected, right? And being taken care of in the times to come. You know? These are the times that we're coming into. You can try to, fight against it all you want. Hey, well, that's okay. Keep that same energy when all hell breaks loose, right? Keep that same monogamous mindset when all hell breaks loose. Keep that I don't need a man mindset when all hell breaks loose. You might have a gun, but there's only so many bullets that you're able to carry in your purse, and there's only so many bullets that gun is able to carry, and you women got to be, capable of being able to fire that gun without closing your eyes and being scared. You got to handle business, and 99% of you women can't do that. Especially you Israelite women, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women. That's not our blessing. The gun is not our blessing, right? So you're not proficient in it. These niggas out here in the streets think that they just so hot with a gun. Well, look at the videos of Esau and these Edomite children. They're proficient with that shit, not us. So you women, right? You Israelite women, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women, right? You better listen and take heed before it's too late. And we'll go ahead and close out. All right, Isaiah 32 and verse 9. It says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech." Meaning, listen, right? A lot of you women, you just keep running your fucking mouths, man. Shut up and listen. I'm not trying to get on, any of you sisters that actually, truly, take heed, right? I'm not talking to y'all, right? You sisters that do listen, right? You few sisters that do listen and take heed, and try your best. This ain't talking about y'all, right? If any of these, those who are new, right? You women that ultimately have, just hearing this lesson or, just coming into this truth, hey, you better buckle down. Buckle down. Listen, take heed. Because these women out here that don't want to listen, that don't want to take heed, they're going to die. Isaiah the 66th chapter in the 4th verse tells you the Lord will bring your fears upon you, right? And a lot of women's fears is being raped, violently ravished. That's a lot of women's fears, and that's what's going to happen to a lot of women, especially in the times to come, right? So listen, take heed, right? Verse 10, "Many days and years you shall be troubled, you careless women, for the vintage shall fail and the gathering shall not come," right? Talking about the food, but nonetheless, right? That trouble, right? It's coming. It's around the corner. It's here, and it's only going to continue to get worse, Listen, take heed, right? Or die, So with that, Lord wills, that I find, Lord will, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rechak Wadash, that belongs to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, I say shalom.